Right place, right time. Nothing has changed. Hello and welcome. A beautiful Thursday, of course. The day that we bring you one of your best programs when it comes to sports, Libhola Eswatini. A lot to talk about this evening, of course, pertaining to the one of the biggest event in the kingdom when it comes to football. That is the Ingwenyama Cup press presentation that was held earlier on today. We look at the ins and outs, who outshine others in terms of personal glory. We'll look at that. And then prior to that, we'll also take a look at some of the transfers, top transfer that has been making headlines recently. It is of the young talented star Leon Manyisa. He's a red and white ensemble now. He plays for one of the biggest club in the country. Now we can confirm that he's a Mbabane Swallows star. We confirmed last week that we'll be having him, Manyisa, here speaking to you. I don't mean in the studio, but we'll have an interview with him, and that is going to happen, of course, on this program. And this program, of course, has been brought to you since the beginning, as you know. That is a chance where you can also be part of the discussion. You take a phone and just make a call on the number that will be on the screen later on. Otherwise, we'll also look at some other things that are happening in other clubs locally. To do that in the remaining 58 or 57 minutes, I'll be in the company of Linda Dlamini, see expertise and other things pertaining to local football. He's well vested. Nguvusele Dlamini.
Fabrice nguvusele ngithathe leli thuba ngithuba lokukhulu ngivusele amaloyal viewers ekhaya ngilesine ebusuku Fabrice njengoba ushilo ukuthi sathembisa ababukeli kulivile lephelile ukuthi sidawuta neliqiniso namuhla and sidawuta salele indzaba salesigcina ukukhuluma ngayo. Ngicabanga ukuthi vele leti indzaba namuhla sizabe sigcina sikhuluma ngayo liqiniso sesibaphathele ababukeli.
There you have it. And of course, for those who are watching us on different platforms, it could be or your normal Skucha, it could be on YouTube. Especially for those who are watching us on YouTube, do not forget to subscribe when you get a chance. Otherwise, what I can tell you is that you're going to be very much part of this discussion. You're going to be very much part of this conversation. When we are going to give you a go ahead, we'll let you know when you can be part of the conversation and call. But whatever you're going to be calling about will be pertaining to what we'll be talking about. What do you think about Lionel Manyisa's transfer? What do you think about the Ingwenyama Cup press presentation? But that interaction, of course, we follow later on. Otherwise, for now, let's start with the issue pertaining to Leon Manyisa. Leon Manyisa, master, last week in Beskuluma would see he's back to Vovovo as a player, meaning Wanderers had failed to commit themselves to say, you know what, we're taking you as a player. It's a painful story because I met one of the Manzini Wanderers supporters early this week, and he said one of the senior management committee member was saying on a radio to say Manyisaga inzawo stamsayin, but it's a pity because now he can't be part of the squad anymore. Now he plays for another club. What do you see about Manyisa? And then I think we'll also talk other things once we've listened to it. But Master, what do you think about Manyisa joining Mbabane Swallows?
Fabrice ngicabanga ukuthi sike sakhuluma ngemavikini la phelile sakhuluma na communications wayo imbabane Swallows sakhuluma ne director weVovovo bobabili bacacisa labamwasho we director weVovovo ukuthi Manyisa ngumdlalo wabo baboleke nje iManzini Wanderers waso uyasho ke weMbabane Swallows communications wakhona ukuthi bayaxoxisana vele naManyisa basamsoma nangabeka kanjalo and washo ukuthi back advanced stage ngicishe ukuthi it's almost until bekungilesine nasikhuluma lenzaba leyo laqala ke liviki leliphelile baphinze baxoxisana kwabonakala ngase ideal ayiphumeleli baphinze bahlala phansi naye Leon Manyisa bakhulumisana bayiMbabane Swallows bagcina bavumeleneke kwase kuthi kuleliviki leliphelile kwase kuthi ngomsombuluko sebavumelene base unveil official sebawavumelene ngama personal terms because lokuya kube mcowanga lama personal terms.
Ngiyamkhala ke personal terms, Master, because when a chance came for the media to ask some questions, and that I think there's nothing to hide, this is something that happened publicly, all the questions were fair to say we can't comment anything. Jiggy, when you look at it, some other publications to say this is the amount that is collected to Manzini Wanderers, this is the amount the player is getting. Why the hiding? Why hide? The transfer on its own, let's say congratulations to Manyisa, maybe he got his wish. But why hiding what's happening behind the player?
Sokuthi nje Fabrice labanye bamva ngibathi ukuthi bacabanga ukuthi iTV ngesikhathi uphuma ukhuluma sekuhluke kanganani ngesikhathi sekubhalwe phasi. Understand ukuthi bani bacabanga kanjani ngani emagama nje manye uyabona but ideal yendekile yakhe Leon Manyisa for umnyaka udlala isizini yenye kumbaba neSwallows naye ngicabanga ukuthi uyathandaza ukuthi iphele le COVID atokhona kudlala leyo season la isayinile kumbaba neSwallows then after that ngicabanga ukuthi abe sizobuyela khona kuvovovo.
Now of course much anticipated is for you to hear what he's going to say, but we'll get to that. But one question maybe before we listen to Manyisa Master, when a company hires an employee, the first question is to say what is that specific employee going to bring to the company, to the organization? What do you think Manyisa is bringing for Swallows? Now, we are looking at now where issues are within the club to say Manyisa Sabamtfolit. What do you think he's bringing to the club? What do they lack that Manyisa is bringing for them?
Fabrice is ngihlale ngisho ukuthi is a very very talented young player, but ngicabanga ukuthi onke lama headlines labeka wenda ema transfers ema speculations ngicabanga if angeke aze angene enhloko kuye kuvuvukele enhloko ilb that player even nelive lonke litaw benefita kuye. Ngicabanga nje ukuthi i-creativity la ilethako lapha kumbaba neSwallows siyakhumbula ukuthi balahlekelwe badlali abanjengabo Pupu badlali lapha kule midfield bebayebulesa lo shukela. Ngicabanga ukuthi if ngeke ngasho before ngathi if utamdlalisa kahle Manyisa utakunika lokufunako but nangabe utamdlalisa out of position ngiyakhumbula ngimbukela kwekuqala adlala ku national team under 20 bekadlala as a winger alahlekile wangena la khasi wadlala behind waqala wabonakala ukuthi ngimanyisa lona. Ngicabanga nje ukuthi dzinga ukuthi bathole the right position utawudeliver.
One of course the most promising youngsters in the kingdom of Eswatini, that is Leon Manyisa, has made headlines almost about the past 2 to 3 weeks, of course, in the country. We're looking at how maybe one can say this is the time to see him shining at the highest club. Now, without maybe wasting much time to talk about Manyisa and to talk for him, this is Leon Manyisa in the press conference when he was being unveiled to mostly Mbabane Swallows supporters. Leon Manyisa in an interview.
Siyamemukela nani siyanibonga sibonga nje umsebenzi wemanagement lesiwendile kuze tofika lapha bekunene. Sicabanga ukuthi njengoba asho communications mabuza lapha ukuthi Tindo kaSwallows tendiwa ngendlela yakhona ngiyo ke le ngacela nje noma siyishayele intandla indlela lesemthethweni bekunene asigege asibhaqi lebafuna tindzaba baye kumabuza nami nje egameni lakhe mabuza nelebaholi baphathi beteam sisho kona lokho nje sisitobonga siyamemukela umfana njengoba sekashito GM siyabonga kakhulu bekunene.
Sibonge futhi naku Wanderers ngoba iWanderers nayo if ingetile ekumkhulumeni kwabo to the stage la kuso siyabonga kakhulu futhi and logo akungabi butha, we'll continue to be friends with Wanderers as always, but the competition ikhona vele, the competition vele we have to compete. We compete for players, we compete for 3 points, we compete for everything.
I feel I'm happy to join Mbabane Swallows. As I was feeling good at the ending my development, feeling joining there. What I have to do, I have to be consistent on my work. Installing discipline, go work extra hard because the team is because this is a big team in the country. Even if you can ask anyone, Mbabane Swallows is Africa. These are the team. Lamanya players like Apumile ku Mbabane Swallows afuma yodlala outside the country. Ingumbe yawo nje la khona la venyalo baphuma Mbabane Swallows ba South Africa. So for me angisho ukuthi angade ngibheka kanjani maybe like it better than any other club. No, angeke ngisho kanjalo. But you let team for Valley is the best.
There you have it, Leon Manis, of course. Not directly him, of course. We started with listening to some of the officials of the club, Lobea Melele, the president of the club, then went to the general manager, Sandile Zwan, who also mentioned a few things. But coming to Leon Manisa Master, he highlighted that one of the things that pushed him to join the club, it's a big club. They're from Africa. Within the area, the Opera Press Conference, in Africa. But there was a joke. But it's a team that has represented well the country. I think Manyisabaza Moksholo. But on your way of seeing things and his comments, someone said, when you look at him speaking and your expectation, it doesn't go together. He doesn't look that excited. Or maybe it's the body language. You are not reading it properly. But he's not that. So there's that reluctant bit. Well, what did you get from that body language, the words and everything?
Fabrice, after kunaku lokwendekile ngicaba ukuthi for amahlandla lamathathu imbabona Swallows izama kumsayina ingakhoni bangavumelana ngama personal terms then finally lowest 4 uyabazama bamsayina ngicaba ukuthi nawubuka the body language ubuka naye lapsweni lo munye anga interpreter athi akakhombisa amafans embabona Swallows afuna kubona a happy Manyisa lo sayinele imbabona Swallows because kusho yena uthi is one of the big clubs la khona la even like Africa kumele kubonakale leyo excitement ukuthi nyalo sengijoyine leyo team bengivele ngiyifuna but lo mnyanga interpreter ukuthi maybe I decision ugcina influencer dinvele tsite
nangulalela Sandile, I think before he introduced Manyisa during the press conference, Master Boko, he mentioned something about Swallows being a club, the best club in the country that prepares the players for international platform. Local. Then outside clubs come and get them. I think he gave an example of the likes of Bo Felix and all those things. And I think but do you think they have been successful in that? And do you think maybe Manyisa after 1 or 2 seasons, because I think he mentioned to say even if we not come this team as South Africa, but do you think Manyisa maybe will go through the same route, play 1 or 2 seasons, highest performance, then we see him getting out of the country? It's possible.
Yeah, ngicaba ukuthi Fabrice na ubuka le crop yabo Felix Bonjabulo Boskali vele uyabona ukuthi bayithethe le mbabana Swallows bayibeka emapini nelivela la eSwatini balibeka emapini. Ngicaba ukuthi Fabrice vele incumbi yabadlali noma incumbi yebamvu nangabe bakhuluma ngembabana Swallows but awukhumbula le performa kahle Africa. Ngicaba ukuthi nabo bazama kwenda lokunyalo babuyisela nakulaba kwenda kahle Africa. Ngicaba ukuthi Manyisa yes is the right is in the right team imbabona Swallows tawubona lo uta deliver yena nyalo
utawucoka master chess number 11 chess number 11 nawathi imbabona Swallows bekunemdlali banele Phuphu Scones. How meaningful that number is, especially to the Mbabane Swallows supporters, remembering how Pupu used to do his things in the middle of the field in that jersey, and how influential is that number going to be for Manyisa?
Fabrice ngicaba ukuthi angati lokuthi Pupu say why is okay, he's a great player but the great Mbabane Swallows ladlalile ukhuluma bobongiswa Nhlabathi bantu abadlalile bagcoka le jersey leli. Ngicaba ukuthi kungaba kahle ukuthi Manyisa abuke kubo nothi umuntu lapho salingane naye. Yes kukahle kubuka umuntu lapho salingane naye but ngicaba ukuthi kulama legends embabona Swallows it's an insult if kuyawukhulunywa number 11 bangabalwa bona kubalwe umdlalo se active. Ngicaba ukuthi njoba sengishilo is a great player nayo utawufuna ukuthi adlale aye eSouth Africa njengaPupu Lite by example waya kuPolokwane City loku asa kulona kumbombela. Ngicaba ukuthi naye utawufisa kwenda kanjalo.
Just to get on the management committee of the team now, there is a way of doing things, structure and everything. We look at to that, and I think while we're looking to that to the table and how things are done and then the structure of the committee, I think there is something that is mentioned also in the interview to say now there is a structure of reporting and then issues pertaining to the media. Everything has to do with the club. We start over Mr. Mabuza, but I was not happy then reporting. Same issue then to say if that's the case, because Namabuza nyaro if ngamshare master would see ivovovo itfale mali ningamanyisa angakutshela ukuthi he's not supposed to discuss that issue, then that's not information we want to hear. Why the privacy? Why so much the privacy? This is the structure. Some of the officials, we can see them. Sunday being a part of them. This is Mr. Lamin also on the left. The likes of Mr. Vilagati, all of them. Why the secrecy, master? Why the privacy? Not only to maybe to put it on swallows. I think it's within the clubs locally. You know, Uve would say, I know we can't say it anything now, but kusasa khona lemvothe kanza iphumele kuleminye media platforms.
Ngicabanga Fabrice now buka even nale structure sayo imbabane Swallows. Yena president wayo ulicembo Mr. Lukele, Bishop Lukele, ubeke wacaca washintsha nale kancane nale management committee. Ngicabanga ukuthi general manager solonguye yena beyond Sandile wakazwane team manager Mr. Clinzile simbonile khuluma la but manqoba uyaqhubeka be communications ngicabanga ukuthi structure lesicishe sibonakala.
Someone is on the call, of course. We welcome you on Libhola Eswatini. Hello.
Kunjani mfundi?
Siyaphila mphathi.
Ngiyaphila mina. Akadlameni sibongo.
Sivusele Nkosi.
Ndana tilon. Ngeke ukufa mbasezela ku. Ngino siyabonga. Siyabonga baphathi bamphele mntana. Nathi mntana zokuphela manje kuphela ngikhona. Claro que retraen los comentarios de que se ponen un buque. Para no estar manejando la marina de dura de puro, no parece sin de la buque, no sé si no sé no de que para mucho la el buque la que
Siyabonga kakhulu Nkosi. Master ngicabanga ukuthi umlangeni bayabonga le move by the club and other activities. Yes. What do you think? And we're looking at the management committee.
Ngicabanga Fabrice bese ngishilo ngale management committee and kunetimvo labatende kahle ngicabanga nema office abo ashintshile baba move ku building lensha lesithemba ukuthi officially iyawubita imedia ihambi yokwatiswa ngicabanga ukuthi kukahle Fabrice na ubuka lesakhe ocishe indzawo lenkulu kakhulu sikubonile nangibabona Highlanders lokho ezulwini kwenteka indzawo lekahle leya lesezulwini nangala ngibabona solo sebakwenda vele kutsinga ukuthi balide by example bama big teams la event lekumele ukuthi wonke umuntu abukele kulo but kune room ye improvement Fabrice ngiyabelieve mina ukuthi nangabe ke okwendiwa unveiling wonke move wonke officially ye team kumele ukuthi igcoke timber for the team kuze ukuthi labantu nalama fans lesithi awathenga letinvo babone kulama officials
alama team. So all these officials should have been in the brands of Mbabane Swallows.
Exactly. It's either masudu noma lama tracksuit. Yes babonakala lokuthi bayi Mbabane Swallows. Yes ema mask siwabonile tigqoko sidibonile but kutsenga ukuthi naloko egcoka ubonakala njengamanyisa because bayete to khombisa amanyisa ukuthi khabo Mbabane Swallows kwendiwa kanje le brand eMbabane Swallows ayihlonishwe.
Wow, a beautiful comment. Of course, you can see him making some observation. Now, if you're a football fan, now at Gutsugwendegana, especially in England, when Manchester City says something, Manchester United says something. When Manchester United says something, City says something. Having listened to Mbabane Swallows, Mbabane Highlanders have something to say. And of course, this is one of the public relations officer, Paul Masila. Utsitebo na abajaga kwenda team double transfer, but they are heading somewhere. Now Paul Masila telling us something about Mbabane Highlanders and their transfers update.
Moekhabo Mbabane Highlanders lokuthi nalenda tinto talo lingasheshi libane tikhulume nje liyasebenta utawubekini latako ndangimema ngidawudala kini ngisho ukuthi sengiunvela bobani alikahlali phasi sifuna ukuthi libuyele ku the glory days lisendlini kagogo nje liyasebenta batawujabula abalandeli bembabane nelive lonke litawujabula.
I can bet you master ngeke liphela ngakashayela Masila khuluma uthi uyamove uthi
yeah uyasho Fabrice ukuthi iMbabane Highlanders ayikahlali phasi nabo bafuna vele uqinisile nangabe lamanye ama teams are busy mane bomakhelwane ba busy bahloma nawe kuyadinga ukuthi uhlome kuze kutothina kuqala ukubuyela emidlalweni bakhanze nawe ulungele ngicabanga ukuthi nayo iMbabane Highlanders inglamanye ama teams lekhombisile kule season lebe isachubeka le mission ye COVID ukuthi bayafuna kusayina abadlali and bayafuna necompete bafikele ngonyama cup final babonakala ukuthi bayi team lenkulu baya compete.
Uthutha ukuthi asicazele ukuthi kwendeke now. Someone is on the line. We welcome you on the program this evening. Hello.
Yebo kutsha.
Yebo kunjani mphathi?
Peter Mphazi kunesihlalo ngilibukela la kaSazi TV
Yes.
ngale ebusuku. Ngithumisa nje baphathi labasindile bona ngalomfana lomanyisa. But nje ngifuna emise Masukisi uyokhombisa lapha kunabadlali lapha phansi. Alenzele nale nombolo J noma D.
Things, how do you think Manyisa will help you as a team? So hambili. I think we are going to doing the club. Mas, I think this is one of the biggest transfer. It's a local transfer, but it's one of the biggest, especially to Mbabane Swallows. Moving on, maybe before we leave these issues of transfer, one would want to touch on Wanderers. Losing a player of this magnitude, Master, and you knowing how maybe the supporters are very, very passionate about you Wanderers, they won't like this, and we might see a reaction.
And kudzinga ukuthi Fabrice nabo imanzini Wanderers njengoba ashilo magitsa ngala kumbabana Highlanders ukuthi abakahlali nayo imanzini Wanderers kudzinga ukuthi bangene lendlini kagogo babuke ukuthi naku nyalo Manyisa bebamfuna uhambile ngibabona Swallows ngibani umdlali abamlandzako lo taba that player that's poster boy. Every club Fabrice siyayisibone bakhuluma ngabo poster boy Manchester United kunabo Bruno Fernandes bo Arsenal nabo Aubameyang bo PSG kunabo Neymar ukhuluma ngayo Mbabane Swallows ufikile Manyisa lengicaba ukuthi every team iyamdzinga lo poster boy, so imanzi Wanderers nayo njengembabona Swallows sitawutsenga ukuthi bangene market bayofuna umdlali.
Now, there you have it. Leon Manyisa on the screen, of course, expressing his, gesture. He's a bird now. He's a Mbabane Swallows star. Moving on now, the biggest event today pertained to the Eswatini, biggest local football tournament that has a potential to attract even the regional, players. This is the Ingwenyama Cup, the 2019-2020 edition. Now, press presentation held on today. Master Singashoguti, in line of what's happening, COVID-19 and pandemic, also to be able to manage to host an event and stick to the rules, the distance, the measures. If you were there, Master Bonile, in terms of Tinombolo, everything was followed accordingly. Everyone was in mask, people were sprayed, and to make sure but finally, the press presentation is saying again. We'll be looking at overview of the pictures while we go through the tournament as well. Yes.
Fabrice, i-tournament lena leyahlale isezingeni elisetulu, even presentation yakhona yahlale isezingeni elisetulu kakhulu. I-social distance beyiqikelelwe kakhulu ama-mask bekafakiwe lengicabanga ukuthi lona ngumsebenzi lohambe kahle kwase kuyahlomeliswa eFabrice kwahlomeliswa labawinile ngicabanga ukuthi yona iGreen Mamba ibe ngiyo ema-biggest winners kulandzela ukuthi bawine against Mbabane Highlanders ngala ebholeni lengicabanga ukuthi nayo iGreen Mamba yenza umsebenzi omhle kakhulu Fabrice kule season lesikuyo.
Nasubuyela kulo msebenzi ukhuluma ngawo Master, it's the final against Mbabane Highlanders. Maybe just to remind the viewers of what we're talking about. This is the final. We're going to look at some of the goals, and of course between Mbabane Highlanders and Green Mamba. It's a big final. It was, and of course look at the stadium, how packed. We'll miss this, Master, having supporters like this in the stadium. So I should say this was the first goal by Green Mamba on the day.
Mkolisi Mkhonto umdlali naye lo dlali waqhama kule tournament le wakora leligoli lecala kumzuzwini le-24 lengicabanga ukuthi yona iGreen Mamba from the first minute nje yakhombisa ukuthi iyafuna kuyiwina le tournament lena, iyafuna kuyiwina. Bobona ngalendlela lebebeme ngayo because bona bebadlala nga3 ngama-forwards la ku-midfield badlala nga3 bebandake nake labase high pressing lokusho ukuthi Mbabane Highlanders nayiqala nje ukuthi idlala lengemuva niyafika naba pressure nini then niyacapitalize kulawo mistakes abo. Ngicabanga ukuthi kwaba igame lemnanzi kakhulu nayo Mbabane Highlanders yawathola emathuba but nje iGreen Mamba yakhombisa ukuthi
sawa kwendekeni lapha mas maybe kuyitsenza kancane in terms of making sure ukuthi that guy doesn't deliver the cross.
Ngicabanga ukuthi waluze ibalance Fabrice, waluze ibalance wawa okani enzaweni le wrong. Sikubonile emagemini aseNgilandi itolo Gary Cahill nayo kwenteke almost the same thing, but ngicabanga ukuthi waluze ibalance. Unfortunately lokuyiluza kwakhe le balance oyiluza nasekusonzele ngala kule third yabo kule half yabo ikhola yakora ke iGreen Mamba ngalelo phutha lelo.
And as of course we keep on watching the pictures, it was not done there, and I think Master playing too two finals in a row, and you don't get what you want. I think it's tough for Mbabane Highlanders.
It's tough, but ngicabanga ukuthi this time around badlala engconywana than le Buffalo, because nawubuka le Buffalo ukuthi kwaba humiliation. But ngala ku Green Mamba kubonakele ukuthi cishe beba organized kancane, but nje kwase sekusala kancane la ngemuva yena Javi, one of my best players.
It's experience mixed with professionalism, having played at a professional level, the carefulness, all the details we can mention, the timing, watching the movement of the goalkeeper. I think just we'll look at it again, but that was a beauty.
Fabrice kunana kulaba bathi emidlalini uyakuthola tactical awareness lokuthi lo mdlali la groundini uhlale aware, in fact usebenza ngema instinct ukuthi le bhola ingawela la bese soya pressa njengoba ngishilo ngathi iGreen Mamba kakhulu beyisebenza ngepressing. Nawubuka lokuthi uyagijima akemi, uyathi lokuthi ngenteka lo mdlali afune i-defender sempho manana afune lokuyidlala le bhola, then nale technique ke yokuthi uluphe le bhola tikwa lo goalkeeper ungethuki. Ngicabanga ukuthi une experience udlalile ngaphandle kwelive Javi eCongo, wayidlalela ne-national team, wadlalela na Royal Leopard. Le experience leyo Fabrice uyithenga noma nganguphi. Ngicabanga ukuthi etimeni leti kanje abathi ngabadlali abane experience labangeke baze bathuke, thatha nje ibhola uyigibete tikwa lo goalkeeper, but ungayishaya ngetulu kwelipali wakwenda ke Javi lo.
Maybe just to touch on him, I think I think I was having a conversation with the Waiwasho Gutsi. He's one of the most underrated player, but Nobugi movie from Leopards Congo maybe Green Mamba, one would want to think he was going to regret the move, because look at how maybe Leopards was moving in terms of winning the trophies. These are the awards, of course. 1.4 million, that's the amount they walked away. Quite a huge amount, master.
Kakhulu Fabrice, but nje Green Mamba yona Fabrice nawubuka le squad sabo ngicabanga ukuthi bebamdeserve lo 1.4 because kune squad lesine experience sikhuluma ngaye Jav, one of the most decorated players laba khona ku local football. Ukhulume nga goalkeeper wabo Thokozane Mkhulumisi, one of the most experienced players. Ukhulume ngabo Lawrence Mncina, ukhulume ngabo Musa Dlamini. Ngicabanga ukuthi sonke le squad uyasibona ukuthi siphethe experience, siphethe ne technique, even nema tactics nangabe abanika coach basheshe bawabambe. Ngicabanga nje ukuthi dinvo leto incumbi ama teams labehlulako lokho.
Now they have it. That is the awards. Now that is the prize breakdown. Champions Green Mamba 1.4 million. They walked away with that show. Okshoksi Master, if you combine what Highlanders won this year and last year, they are 1 million, 2 times runners up. It's a record on its own. We haven't had a team twice being. I think Royal Leopards has done it before when Mbabane Swallows, of course, was taking it for the first time. Now, then going down to player of the series, that is Njabulo Twala, of course, coming from Green Mamba. He had a great season, master.
Udlalile kakhulu Fabrice. I remember le game yabo besenhlangano ngicabanga thina lapho wadlala kahle kakhulu. Ne game yabo kaSomhlolo against Young Buffaloes wadlala kahle kakhulu. Besides the goal, bombona la khasi ku midfield nje ukuthi dictator uyabehlula abadlali beGreen Mamba. Lengicabanga ukuthi beka deserve, yes, bekune badlali beka compete nabo. Lengicabanga ukuthi khetho kuhle naye teammate yakhe, khetho kuhle Mkhondo lo dlala lo destroyer khona Green Mamba, most underrated player. Na when dethi uwekevele awunake kahle. Ngicabanga ukuthi na tournament uyidlale kahle kakhulu bese kuba nasawa scoring 3 goals kule tournament. Ngicabanga ukuthi Njabulo Twala kuhlula abadlali abanjengalabo labe ba ku competition naye. Ngicabanga ukuthi udlale kahle kakhulu.
Let's cover also Master Evan in terms of awarding players. 15,000. It's a good amount.
Kakhulu Fabrice.
15,000 it's a lot of money.
It's a lot.
For a tournament that is not played every weekend like the league. This is a knockout tournament. 15,000. That's a good amount.
About 5 games. Then we have 15,000 reach. Na umdlali udlale nje kahle 5 games. Then 15,000 reach. Ngicabanga ukuthi Njabulo Twala beka deserve for a very long time Fabrice.
Goal against Buffalo.
For a very long time anganakeke umsebenzi wakhe lapha ku Green Mamba. Ngicabanga ukuthi this season even the previous season udlale kahle kakhulu. Beka deserve nje vele lokuhlomeliswa ngeplay of the tournament.
All right, and of course we're still on the in the prize breakdown, looking at some of the things that made headline today, and of course during the press presentation of the Ngwenyama Cup. Now, Njabulo Twala was the player of the series. Series meaning he was the player of the tournament. He might not be the top scorer, but he's the player who just outshine others. We keep on looking at some of the also people who outshine us. Now we go to our top scorer, Maran Chiefs. He was also a part of the top scorer, Mr. Molop. Now ubuka performance yake, master. Gumaland and everything. His performance even in the league. What do you think of him as a player?
Fabrice ukhuluma Charles Molopo umdlali wathi nakefika la eSwatini kusukela efika uyacompete la top scorers ukhuluma ngeleague ukhuluma ngama knockouts siyakhumbula ukuthi even 2 seasons ago abe bambene ku league abekabambene nemagoli nabo bo Sandile na ephiwe. Ngicabanga ukuthi is a goal poacher ungumshayi wamagoli yena. Uthi tena kabuya kuma Chiefs waqala wadlala deeper babona ukuthi no bamdlalisa out of position wasesophinzwe yenyuka uyodlala lapha ku number 9. Ngicabanga nje ukuthi beka deserve 6 goals wahamba na top scorer award na 10,000 emalangeni wakhe.
10,000 emalangeni, not a bad amount, must. Now ubuka ukuthi from players of the series 10,000 la kushito vele udlala 5 games then you're 10,000 rich. Wow. Good amount. Now let's go to the best goalkeeper. I think utsinzira kancane in terms of squad ye Green Mamba. I think we've talked about Thokozani Mkhulisi as a player. Master, I think personally I had a talk with him. Do you think you have a competition in terms of being a goalkeeper? Nambuga master vis-a-vis to other goalkeepers that we have. You go also to Leopards, you go to Swallows. What do you see now, Buga to season, especially 2019-2020, heading to another tournament? Maybe Swazibank saying but Nasan Kuruma 2020-2021, it's a new season. Do you think he can keep up the same performance like last season to this season? They won the league with him. They won the Ngwenyama Cup with him. Did he impress you enough that he can carry on? Yes, he has that experience.
Fabrice, I remember the season before nagafika ku Green Mamba, one of my colleagues bestleli naye kasomhlolo, and wabuta ukuthi Mkhulisi uyaphi Green Mamba. Ngathi mina he was the player lebebamdzinga. Is that player lemdzingako Green Mamba. Wafika win league. Winning Ngwenyama Cup, win a goalkeeper of the tournament. Ngicabanga ukuthi naye for a very long time. Ngicabanga ukuthi is one of the most experienced goalkeepers la khona. Uprovile throughout the tournament ukuthi ule experience onaye uthembele kuye ke Caleb, and coach nangabe ungoalkeeper belivela kuwe. Ngicabanga ukuthi ukumrepair kwakho ngokuthi umwinele inkomishi ukwendile ke Thokozani Mkhulisi for igame nje le ngicabanga ukuthi wayidlala kahle kakhulu ngiyo yena leyo Buffalo. Ngicabanga ukuthi beka deserve man of the match lama saves la beka wenda ngalelo langa lelo bongafika uthi mhlawumbe nabo 21-22.
And then in terms of competition and everything, what do you think? And then vis-a-vis to what you have noted, and then I think we're going to listen to something before, but I'm asking about the competition he has in terms of goalkeepers vis-a-vis to his performance. He's one of the best goalkeepers, but how do you position him compared to other goalkeepers? To you, in your opinion, where do you think he stands?
Ulaphetul Fabrice is amongst the best. Nawubuka sinabo goalkeeper la ekhaya ukhuluma ngabo Khanyakezo, ukhuluma ngabo Ncamiso Dlamini ku Royal Leopard, ukhuluma ngabo Sandanezo ibifomu iphikile this season, ukhuluma ngabo Nhlanhla Gwebo, ukhuluma ngabo Thokozani Mkhulisi. Ngicabanga ukuthi ku Green Mamba compete na Sidumo. If utawuhlalisa goalkeeper lo njenga Sidumo vila kade ebenchini, ngicabanga ukuthi kukutshela something lokuthi lo goalkeeper loyo is one of the best. Ngicabanga ukuthi is among the top 5 goalkeepers la best live.
Now there you have it. Njabulo Twala is one of the players of the series, and of course goalkeeper of the tournament is Thokozani Mkhulisi. Now before we go any further, this is Njabulo Twala as one of the best player of the tournament, expressing his joy and what made him become the best for the 2019-2020 Ngwenyama Cup edition. Listen to
ukuvusela nje kubabukele emakhaya. Ngisho ukuthi si Green Mamba sadlala sayiphakamisa iNgwenyama Cup, but lamuhla ngalokusemthethweni sesitawuniketa inkomishi yethu ngilabadzala lababuke iNgwenyama Cup. Ngasho nje ukuthi still kithi kuvuka kuba injabulo lenje kwekuthi sitophakamisa lenkomishi ngalokusemthethweni, and ngasho ukuthi sifisile kwekuthi lenkomishi le sikhone kuyigcina ihlale kithi si Green Mamba kuze kube sekugcineni. Ngasho ukuthi still solo kwathiwa asihlale emakhaya sijime badlali bethu si Green Mamba nanyalo noma ngingathiwa sihambe siye enkundleni bangafike badlale ubangale ukuthi abadlali kwentekeni ngabo ngamunye lapha khona abhaqe ngakhona kukhona leka busy ngako leka kwentaba sekungaba ukuthi bocoach bafuna sibe kuleli zinga leli ngoba kude lo simonithile but nje ngekuthi ngingikapteni wabo ngiyakhona kuba checka ngamunye ayashe majida ukuthi hayi siyaqhubeka khona lesibhizi ngabo ngasho nje ukuthi vele noma ngathiwa siyaqala ngaDisember siqala ingonyama cup sitimisele ukuthi singaphinze siyivikele lenzeni
ngijabule kakhulu ngibonga leli thuba nje naNkulunkulu langiphelana namhlanje kuze kufike namhla noma ngabe timadima kulamalanga ngasiphethe tifo ngalana kepha naku sifikile ngijabule kakhulu impela umdlalo lo waba muhle ngicabanga ukuthi lo eBuffalo i-quarter finals ngadlala kahle kakhulu ngaba nehlahla ngakhona lekushaya igoli lelasithatha lasibeka ngasemi.
There you have it. That is Njabulo Tfal, of course, expressing his joy. And the game he thinks that made him the best player of the tournament is the game against Buffalo. But prior to that, we started, of course, with the captain, Banele Dlamini, who was saying that he pushes his colleague, his teammates, to make sure that they get where they are. We started with Banele Dlamini, and then we ended up getting to Mr. Njabulo. But now move Banele Dlamini goes. He's expressing Loguba responsible in the field of play. I think recently you had witnessed something in Europe where one of the captains was fighting with a player. That is Hugo Lloris. So the type of captain you want in your club to say, push your colleagues until
in fact Fabrice kuyadzinga ukuthi ube nema-leaders etimini lawo ma-leaders lawo kufaka captain. In fact a big team ibe na-5 abo-captain 3 wabo uyawuthi anytime angabe angekho munye abameli bande then lalabanye abangu-2 basekela laba abangu-3 le ngicabanga ukuthi ku-Green Mamba banaye Banele Dlamini uyasho ukuthi from time to time uyawa-check emajida abukele ukuthi
angithi mina ngiyamgomethula uThabo umgomethula ngamatubana nalithatha imbabana Islanders kepha-ke ngene ekhathi 18 Green Mamba nathi
players lakhona owabangikapteni we-national team ngicabanga ukuthi usuka kubo Mhlawumbe Nyathi Rovers. Ngicabanga ukuthi is that player lo ngamethemba ukuthi akholele. Ukhuluma-ke ngaHugo Lloris phesheya sikubonile goalkeeper wayo Tottenham Spurs agijima yakusona ayomtshela ukuthi bongabaki ngani lapha nge-half time after game bahamba bahagana bakhombisa injabulo because inangabe veleni badlala ngicabanga sonke umvulo wadlala ibhola understand ukuthi egemini niyaqabana nibadlali but nasekuphunyiwe lapha bese sinamba nahleka akusiyo involleyball permanent.
Now of course heading to other categories, best ref of the tournament Themiko Dlamini for the third time in a row I think. Dlamini impressed ngemsebenzi wakhe so far.
Since Fabrice is the best referee lokona la local football Themiko Dlamini ngiyakhumbula ukuthi na league 2 seasons ago wawina I referee of the year nakuna ngonyama cup na last time kwaba ngicaba ukuthi vele even nama finals ema decision labathathako for me nje last season ngiyakhumbula ku final lephelile wenda I very very bold decision la ithatha wanika imbabana Highlanders penalty labanengi batibuta ukuthi leni wayinika leyo penalty leyo even na decision final bubona ukuthi ibanjwe umuntu ema decision akhe uyawamela. Ngicabanga nje ukuthi is that young man young referee because usesemncane usafunza leklathi mhlambe esigabeni lesingathi bo 3-4 utaba sajaja kuma games la njengabo AFCON na World Cup knows because mavele njengabo Chelsea abathumile bo Rafael Abao baya go jaja ku World Cup.
Now of course one of the best upcoming best refs ngasho ukuthi he has the potential of course to get to the international platform and get to be best. Now that picture that we just missed is the best public relations officer of the tournament. That is Paul Masela. Paul Masela had a lot to say today. This is him once again expressing his joy. Not to see Mhlawumbe there is something that he did for us so that he can come again. Just that he said something very constructive after the award that he received. But why we wait for him to be available? Mas, I think this is one of the things to say. it's important to always appreciate when something. I think he's showed. Siyathi sonke kasomhlolo nakuwina imbabane Highlanders uyimbone vele cheering the players, I mean the supporters. You move kuma media, he's been here expressing ukuthi bona ba ready kanganani as a team. I think nawumbuka in terms of his category ubehlulile.
Fabrice uyayideserve le award ngicabanga ukuthi balandzeli bembabane Highlanders yes bahlale bakhona stadium but ngicabanga ukuthi lokuba khutsata njalo uthi aba stadium bayobukela i-team yabo beyidlala unkumbuta lomunye nje pro walenye team la eSouth Africa bebathi ngiphatko mafan beka khulumela yona i-Chiefs balandzeli ngaleso sikhathi bebagcwala Fabrice stadium and ubona nale bhola beyidlalwa ngicabanga siyena Paul Makezelzakeni wakamasilela deserve le award siyambongela naye sithi congratulations wende kahle.
Now, of course, Paul Masila was the best public relations officer of the tournament, and he had something to say. This is Masila speaking to us.
Ngesole magama lengawasho nami kungaba kutibongela nje ngwenyameni yemhlaba kuthi nje Nkosi yami nami ngivele ngithi nje lwandle likhulu ngwenyama yemaswati lengehlula kukwenda tindvo vele kuliciniso ukuthi ngwenyama yethu lelive laseSwatini ipulpit yeAfrika ngithi nje nami hlityo lenhle kwehlulela amanye amadvodza ngiyabonga ngendlule lapho mntwana Bhembe ngibonge kakhulu na MVA ngibonge ngendlule ngibonge nani betindzaba ngibonge nePLE ngingakhohlwa kubonga abalingani bami boPiero ngoba bangisekele nabo ngengibashiye ngaphandle umndeni wami ngawushiye ngaphandle ungisupportile yonke indlela yonke uze sifike la ngaba nje ukuthi konke lithumo ngeliniketa simakathe ngiyabonga kakhulu nami ukuthi hey ngingakhohlwa kumbonga the great Mr Komongo nayo imbabane Highlanders yonke lokuthi nje banginikele lithuba nami ukuthi ngingakhulumela lelive ngoba nawati kahle babe Bhembe imbabane Highlanders live diningi tizathu lengadisho ukuthi ngisho ngani ukuthi live lokunye kwabo nje lengangingetela kona ngaba ukuthi nje the only team leyafika kuma quarter final eChampions League omo ekhabo mbabane Highlanders lokuthi nalenda tindlotalo lingasheshi libane likhulume nje liyasebenta utawubona emavikini latako ndangimema ngidawudala kini ngisho ukuthi sengianvela bobani alikahlali phasi sifuna ukuthi libuyele the glory days lisendlini kagogo nje liyasebenta utawujabula abalandeli bembabane Highlanders nelive lonke litawujabula.
Highlanders isendlini yakagogo bayadiscussa ukuthi bathenga bani baletha bani bacosha bani, all those details are being revealed manje kune-topic le-sensitive kancane maybe kubanye balandzeli in terms of Champions League quarterfinals. Master ungayifakaza kangakanani hayi ukuthi utayiphika but when he said the only team to reach quarterfinals and the time we're talking about then compared to now, do you think really in terms of celebration or to say making history, would you really count that? Or we know that that's the story there. But is it an achievement that we can say today as a country? Because when he mentions that, he's talking about the country, Eswatini. Because who have records,
Fabrice angeke size sikuphike imbabane Highlanders during that time beba untouchable. In fact vele they became the only Swazi team. They became the first team kufika ama quarter finals Champions League la Africa. Lengicabanga ukuthi achievement leyo timvo letinyo umlandvo awubese soyarapha Fabrice noma ngabe iperformance ngehla kanganani awubese soyarapha. In fact baphinze baba they became the first team kudlala isizini yonke bangadliwa ngisho yenye igame. So ngicabanga ukuthi leyo milandvo yabo kukhabo mbabane Highlanders then imbabane Swallows ke yasiyafika ama group stages ya Champions League bahamba nabo. Ngicabanga ukuthi tonke letinvo leto nangabe uyi-team ihlale ikhona lamlandveni ngako ema fans wena nje ufave Arsenal uyayothi Arsenal yahamba ngasizini 2000 wena nje ufave Arsenal ngeke sikufihle lokho Fabrice ukuthi ema fans ayabreaka ngaleto tinvo leto ngema history ema clubs abo. Ngicabanga ukuthi nayo imbabane Highlanders vele ne Denver Sundowns ke yakuyadlala kahle eAfrica kusese Denver Sundowns yes okay sayibuyile nyalo iDenver futhi yadlala kahle nayo eAfrica nabo bayabreaka ngaloko. Ngicabanga ukuthi yonke le milandvo le kukhona emlandweni.
Wow, already on the spot. Let's talk about, of course, other things that took place during the activities. Of course, that is the Masida. Talking about how the club has done some achievement. It's there who have, records to say maybe there is a club locally that has been that far when it comes to CAF competition. Now, that's not the only activities that took place today. When we talk about Ingwenyama Cup, there is two sides of the story. There is the local, there is the football fraternity, and there is the cultural aspect of things. The cultural aspect of things, Master, Nakona Sibone, some of the awards being won as we look at through the presentation and the list. It's one of the things that makes this tournament significant, and it has an image of its own, having a tournament that has both culture and football. Some of the cultural winners on the day, Master.
For President Kabasi isike sasho isikhuluma ngayo eNgwenyama Cup kuthi ihlukile ngalendlela nje lengiyo ukhuluma ngetimbongi ukhuluma ngengadla ukhuluma ngendlamu ukhuluma ngemajaha indlamu nje lewenile lapha bakhona engculwini ba 42,000 Fabrice wemalangeni ngicabanga ukuthi le mali uyabona ukuthi iyenyuke kanganani etimbongini sibongiseni wakathwala uhambe nayo 25,000 ngasi laba kathwala this time around inhlanhla beyiwele ngakubo ngicabanga ukuthi tinvo leti letenda ukuthi le tournament le yehluke kunadotonke ingadla njengoba bese ngishilo ukuthi nayo i part of le culture nabo basekwaluseni umphakathi bachamka emphakathini wasekwaluseni bahambe na 42,750 wemalangeni kwase kuthi kubalthango siyathi ke lithango ukuthi ngilabo make bethu labasigizila kamnanzi lapha bakalanga labachamka ngala isteki bahambe na 50,000 wemalangeni ngicabanga si le mali na ubuka le mali Fabrice yehluke kakhulu nakulomnyaka lophelele lokusho ukuthi Ingwenyama Cup ngeminyaka iyakhula lesikufuna vele ukubona ukuthi le bhola nale culture kungabe sesekuchelelana kakhulu nalala benda le culture nabo bathi nabatilungiselela bathi ukuthi kune motivation yes motivation lenkulu ukuthi ngiwinile Ingwenyama Cup kodwa labo nsombulwane babe sebangeta nje Fabrice.
Wow, there you have it, and of course, that's what went down, of course, pertaining to the awards. Of course, another category where it becomes so sensitive when you talk about these awards, it is where we belong as media, we belong as those who report to the public what happens. Members of the public rely on us, Master, when it comes to information. That's the media. Nasikara the part linders, best print media, Eswatini Observer, maybe singangene ku ma personal ukuthi kuhambe bane tool, but overall best electronic media, EBIS, best reporter, and you can see best photographer and all those things. What's your reaction, Master?
Fabrice ngicabanga ukuthi singaqala sibongele nje ubona ema colleagues ku city congrats. Yes, these are colleagues. Sisho sithi congratulations bawinile mhlawumpeni next time nangabe lingakani la kuwe ungabe sesemakhelwane so wena uyabona so uyamsola ngicabanga ukuthi basebendile Fabrice siyabonga ngasho lokho.
I think one of the things that we need to find out is the criteria that are used, of course, to ukets are not only even for the media of other players. What are the criteria? Maybe for the player it's easy. Look at the matches you see the player went down. But for the media, what are the criteria, Master? What do you think is the criteria?
Fabrice kulikhulu cause nawubuka ukuthi angati la kithi.
Yes, it is without a doubt that the champions of the 2020 Ingwenyama Cup will be Green Mamba with 3 minutes to be played. Mthunzi Mkhonvo has secured the cup. Yebo mlaleli, yebo mbukeli. Akusana kungabatha ukuthi boshambeni beNgwenyama Cup emnyakeni wa 2020 kuyaba iGreen Mamba. Nikusho lokho kusatha udlalwa imizuzu lemithathu lengethwa ngompembe. Yebo imizuzu lemithathu lesele ukuthi
umpintsha uyakhulume indlela engabe iconzene nayo ngicaba ukuthi nami ngilitholele ithuba ukuthi ngikhulume i-electronic iyahluka kune TV kune radio ngicabanga ukuthi once wakubhicela indvo letatifanani because lo munye angavela advance licingo asakade game angisho ukuthini but now ukhuluma nge-TV na ubuka nje Eswatini TV Sports ngendlela labatikhandle ngayo letikhandle ngayo ni team ema region kusuka la communications ma-region bekakhava lama games sawabona la wazwashaya nje yena Mfenezi Yamthoba kaHlathi wathi ngicela kuniphi imbuti besibuya kuma regions wathi ngicela kuniphi imbuti Eswatini TV Sports
so nathola imbuti
no isengafiki le mbuti wathi Spoilers
so
but nje
aninga 20 hours but khona nakho at the end of the day
but ngiyaveta nje Fabrice ukuthi ema regions eKhilani sakathathu phase libonjeni sakabili phase inhlangano sakabili kuma region the only media lewakhave ngalokuphelele ema regions zase sesiyabuya ke kusukela ekuqaleni sawakhava onke ngicaba ukuthi kude lesingakusola lokuthini Fabrice next time sitawucaciseleka lokuthi le criteria isebenta kanjani asikhali but nje bekuhle lokuthi le tindvo tingahlanganiswa.
Wow, there you have it, Master. What a moment, of course, I just had online with Master, of course. In as much as there is no media, there's no award that has been able to come home. Someone with a good initiative has promised Imbuti to the Eswatini sports team that, of course, having reached to all the 4 regions, there's something they can get. Master, the viewers, of course, are allowed to make calls and give a view, interaction. What do you think about all the things we discussed? But so far, if you look at the tournament itself, I think, Master, maybe my viewers would suggest to be part of the conversation. Is this the picture you expected in terms of performance? It's a pity because we can't bring the records prior to the tournament. What you talked in person to say, who did you think was going to be the champions? But were you impressed seeing Green Mamba being the champions? Were you impressed maybe seeing players like Bonja going up on top of things? Were you impressed to see Highlanders playing another final without winning the tournament?
Fabrice ngicabanga ukuthi njengoba ngishilo ukuthi sabona game lenhle kakhulu and nawubuka le build up onke lama games ukhuluma babane Highlanders edlala kahle kakhulu beba deserve ukufika ku final. Unfortunately iGreen Mamba yakhombisa kuba strong kunabo le ku final. Ngicabanga ukuthi nayo iGreen Mamba sayibongela yashaya ima champions iYoung Buffaloes. If ushaya ima champions ke Fabrice vele uyahamba
kancane, Master. Someone is on the line, of course, to be part of the conversation. Libhola Eswatini, good evening.
Yes, arrange na ukuthi kumshashale imali Fabrice ukubaka ngesawathi kahle sembonile ikhamba wonke lemidlalo nama lokubeka njani ngoba vele ema ahluka uyabo so mhlambe ngiyashaka ukuthi asiphazile the criteria bayenda kanjani but simbonile wakhamba onke amagame siyekweni vele nje bengibuyele lapha ukuthi mhlambe la so TV sambona
Yes, thank you very much, of course, for the comment. That is beautifully appreciated. Yeah, this is another viewer, Master. Something, yes.
Fabrice, ngicabanga ukuthi ngicela kushonako. The late chairman Victor Gamethi ngiyayizithanda ukukhuluma emagama akhe. Ngiyambuta ngalenye la ukuthi wenda ngani lokuthi yena uyakhona kubukela ku Eswatini TV Sports amonitor tonke lenhlela abuke ukuthi ilicembu lakhe lenta kanjani atobona le dithombe lapha aphinze akuvuse nasebusuku athi awubukele channel bani kunana ngumdlalo wangaphandle lamthandzako wenda ngani yena wathi if utaba sebholeni sida ma officials yes beka kwenda yena bukela tonke inhlelo taSwaz TV uyi official noma ungumdlali once wangabukeli iTV wangaboni ema replays wangaboni ukuthi udlale njani utaba nenkinga awu deserve kuba sebholeni so ngicabanga ukuthi labanye bantu Fabrice le criteria bayisebenzise labanye abakhona lokubukela loSwaz TV.
Now someone is on the line. He's the lucky one because he is the last person we take before we leave the studio. Sikumukele ehlelweni.
Hello.
Yebo mphathi kunjani?
Ngiyaphila Fabrice njani wena?
No siyaphila baba.
Ngiyaphila man uma namathuma nawo kumamisa kuguquka kunet. Kumnet man akabe ngisi master man ngathola umbuti man. Mathutu mhlawumbe kuyithola nakini next time goes on but
Boss Yeah, so humble, of course. That's our input, Master. Say serious. And of course, you're about to leave, Master. A few words before we leave. What a tournament it's been. What a show. In Manyisa. Official, Master.
Fabrice ngicabanga ukuthi liviki le more especially presentation yayo ngonyama cup lesiyibonile sethemba ukuthi kuma transfers siyibonile imbawona Swallows angiyethemba ukuthi balandzeli babo batawujabula nekubona labanye badlali babuya but na ukhuluma ngonyama cup presentation yonke lama ngicabanga ukuthi letigaba titfolile letikufanele sethemba ukuthi nalama imaqembu nasesibuka ngala kuma transfers ukhulumile Magitsa wathi kaMbabane Highlanders basesendlini kaGogo ngiyethemba ukuthi na Bomazini Wanderers nabo batawenda njalo but nje all in all la ngonyama cup konke lo lokwendekile sesingabonga Fabrice sibonge yona imbube yemhlaba silo semaswati inkosi emakhosi sikhulume sithi sisho sithi bayethe wena waphakathi ngakho konke lokwendekile nangala timali letitfolakele nabo bonke nje labe ba part of yona i-organizing committee bantu benkosi bonke nesponsor konke laba winile ngicabanga ukuthi bahambe ekhaya bajabulile siyasho sithi bayethe wena waphakathi.
They have it. That is, of course, one thing we can never forget to mention. Having witnessed one of the beautiful tournaments in the country, we take this a huge opportunity to thank His Majesty King Mswati the Third. And of course, having witnessed a tournament like this, we are always, up enjoying football and watching all the actions that comes with this tournament. Otherwise, for Linda Dlamini, Master, having, of course, come into the studio, not a happy man. He's living as a happy man because kunembuti bamtsemse yona utayipfora at some point, somehow, somewhere. Otherwise, for the entire program, for those, of course, who are watching us live on Skuchan, for those who are watching us on YouTube platforms, and of course, for those who have missed this program, there is a chance that you can watch tomorrow's repeat tomorrow in the morning at 8 in the morning. Otherwise, for those who took their chances and make the conversation, be part of this conversation, you can never be wrong. And of course, it was a beautiful moment with you. To you, the viewers, to us, the programmers, we say, Sidlala kamnanzi.